Welcome, everybody, to another edition of UFO Man Live. Tonight, we're doing things a little bit different. It's going to be myself, UFO Man, and Rhiannon Alley. Thom is currently in Louisiana on his way back from Roswell. So when he gets back next week, we'll feature him, but along with Rhiannon, of course. But tonight, it's just Rhiannon and myself, and we want to wish you a belated happy 4th of July weekend. Hope you had a great celebration with your families. If not families, at least you got out and saw some fireworks and celebrated the holiday. And if you're not from this country and you don't celebrate the 4th, anyways, I hope you had a great weekend.
I know a lot of people had a great weekend. I was in Myrtle Beach, and there was so many people out there doing their own fireworks, and it was great. I
bet. Tonight we're going to be featuring a premiere on this channel, of course, of Rhiannon's channel called Sky Tribe Mysteries. Her Coral Castle documentary that she did, directed and produced, and Tom Reed is part of that documentary. So without further ado, if it's okay with Rhiannon, we'll go ahead and play that.
Roll it.
Okay, here we go.
Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries, featuring your host, Rhiannon Alley, and guest Tom Reed. As an explorer, Rhiannon has been to over 18 countries and is ready to take you along for the ride, exploring the mystery of our ancient history. In this episode, Rhiannon and Tom visit the Coral Castle in Homestead, Florida. America's Stonehenge. Over 1,100 tons of limestone. A stone sculptured garden full of mystery. How was this massive coral wonderland created? Join Rhiannon and Tom as they explore this mystery.
Coral Castle. 1,100 tons, one man, 100 pounds. Edward Leedskalnin. Who is Ed, and how can one person build this massive megalith, and why?
An echo from some ancient Stone Age is the work of Ed Leedskalnin, a 120-pound Superman. Using but the most primitive of tools, he handles huge 15-ton pieces of coral rock with the greatest of ease. This is his life work, building a great stone city that he hopes will stand for thousands of years. He works as the ancient Egyptians did when they built the pyramids. The 4-ton rock that serves as an entrance gate is so nicely balanced, a slight push will move it. But that's only the first of many wonders to be found in this strange place. Many and varied are the huge pieces, and one of the most striking works is a huge table carved in the shape of the Florida Peninsula. Here's further example of how he's balanced these great carvings. There's comfort in these rockers, too.
I invited Tom Reed to join me on this quest to seek the mystery of this fascinating rock park, to meet up with Coral Castle's tour guide, Armando Isvedo. According to the story, Ed, a Latvian man, had his heart broken by Agnes Scuffs, his fiancée, a day before their wedding, who was only 16 and Ed was 26. He referred to her as his Sweet 16. Ed then migrated to the United States and found his way to Homestead, Florida, on a mission to build a monument for his lost love from 1923 to 1951. Is this really the story, or a cover-up for something more? Ed was only 5 feet tall, 100 pounds with little education, but yet excavated and sculpted over 1,100 tons of coral bedrock with just hand tools and working only at night that no one witnessed in the 28 years it took him to build. He moved the coral castle from one location to another in Homestead, Florida, on a truck 10 miles away to its final resting place. He told the driver to look away while he placed them on it. How can this be? Did Ed have supernatural powers? Did he know the secrets of levitation? He claimed he knew the secrets to the pyramids. But how? Did he have any electricity during the time he was here?
Good question.
No.
Because he actually made it.
No, there was no
He
electricity.
could generate it himself, right?
Yes, and I'll show you inside the machine that they say was either his source of energy or it was a generator that they know of. They
Right.
say that either he used it to show off to kids that he can make electricity and generate enough electricity to illuminate a few light bulbs for a few seconds, or that's the source of energy that he used to levitate stones. We don't know. Those are great.
Okay, so that was his entire living room, bedroom. That's where he stayed.
That was his bedroom and his kitchen. And the most important thing about upstairs is if you count the steps leading up to the top, any guesses how many there are?
13?
Why 13?
Just a guess.
How about a different number that's important to
19.
No. Well, what did he call his girl? Do you remember?
Agnes.
16.
There's
Oh,
16
six.
steps leading to the top.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And that number will show up in the
Is that counting the landing?
Starting with that first step
Uh-huh.
and then the very top one. You can count them on the way up.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are several theories about this mysterious place that has baffled scientists and archaeologists. One theory is that Ed's homemade wood tripod had a black box on top of it that no one knew what it contained. Perhaps some kind of magnet that could help move the large rocks while he used a chain to hoist it up.
If there was one piece that might have been missing that, everyone would have wanted to see, do you know what that would have been?
Yes, absolutely. The
Okay,
tripods.
The tripods.
Because have you heard of the tripods?
Yes,
There's
I have.
photos of the tripods. They're very huge, made out of Dave County pine. And on top of the tripods, there's a mysterious box.
Yes.
And they say that the source of energy was inside the box. Whatever the
That's what
stone
she
was
said,
lifting, the harmonic oscillator, whatever it was that was lifting the stones was inside the box. But the box mysteriously disappeared. It's in the trunk of my car. Don't worry.
Yeah. Good.
Sure.
Let me see what I got. I can pay you for it.
You think he made this technology, or could he have been given this technology?
As Tom and I toured this megalith with Armando, we did notice that Ed's sculptures had a cosmic flair to it, with his crescent moon, Saturn, and even Mars. Could he have been a time traveler from ancient times with special knowledge? Or was the library books he studied enough to accomplish such precision to build a 28-ton obelisk, a 5-ton heart-shaped table, rocking chairs, a 9-ton door that operates with one touch of a finger, a fountain, and even a sundial?
So this is Ed's sundial. Now you see the numbers 9 through 4 at the top. According to the lore, they say that Ed believed that a man should work between 9 and 4. These are the hours that a man should work, which contradicts where he said that he worked at night. Remember, he worked at night building the castle, but during the day he gave tours here, so we can kind of let that slide. No, because it's a sundial, so it only works it only works in the mornings. Yeah, so it's the only sundial that they know of that tells time in 3 different ways. It tells you the time of day, the month of the year, and the season. And the thing that casts the shadow is a single metal piece. Let me see if I can get this to. Let's see if we can get some magic here. See the little metal piece, right? So now it tells you the month. June 21st. No, yeah, June 21st in the northern hemisphere is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. The sun is high in the sky, and at noon the shadow is down here, right under the 12th. Now, as the year progresses, the sun gets lower in the sky, and by December 21st, the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, the shadow's up here. So depending on where the shadow appears, up and down, it tells you the month. And then these points are the equinoxes that tell you the seasons. So 3 ways of telling time in one sundial.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Another interesting sculpture Tom and I noticed that could lead to another theory is this Masonic triangle. It looks similar to the Freemason symbol, so it could be possible that Ed was part of a secret society that was given instructions or special knowledge to go to Florida and build this megalithic monument. And why did Ed move the castle 10 miles away to Homestead? During our research, we found out that there are electromagnetic lines around the Earth called ley lines that would make the Coral Castle's final location a powerful energy hotspot. Could this energy have helped a 100-pound man with only hand tools an advantage to resurrecting this megalith wonder? Author Court Lindahl explains the connection between Coral Castle and the Vatican.
We're going to take a look at Coral Castle, which seems to be part of the Templum of the Vatican. So using the Egyptian obelisk and windrose markers at the center of St. Peter's Square, the east-southeast windrose marker leads to the Dome of the Rock and seems to match the facet of that building, which points back. But using the west-northwest windrose marker, the line is created that extends directly to Coral Castle in Homestead, Florida, as shown here on Google Earth Digital Globe.
It is believed that many ancient structures, religious sites, and major landmarks share these energy grids. Is this a coincidence? However Ed created the Coral Castle and why, it is an impressive, unusual accomplishment. Next, Thom and I join David Rodriguez with Prism Paranormal Research for the Coral Castle's annual ghost tour.
There's someone else here. You can see there.
You would see a little. It could go up to 5 people, so you would see like a.
My name is Rhiannon Alley, and I'm with Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries. And this was our first time coming to the Coral Castle, and we were absolutely blown away. There is something magical, something special about this place. It's just one of those type of places. Absolutely astounding with the story, and it just doesn't stop there. There's just more and more questions about this place.
My name is Thom Reed. I was asked to come out to the Coral Castle to give my opinion on some things. And the reason I was asked is that our family has had a lot of paranormal activity throughout like a 50-year span. I have the only UFO case to be deemed historically true in America by state. What I found was that I walk away now with more questions than answers. I could not believe the amount of activity that showed up right in front of me while we were asking questions in what was Ed's bedroom. Not only did we get this crackling sound and a sound of a child, I mean, this was very defined. This was not something where you go, well, I'm not really sure what you're hearing. It was there, and it was in front of a lot of us.
Camera, so it's showing that you're different. So if the little kid showed up, he'd be blue, like a dark blue.
I run this paranormal team that does the ghost tours here. We have medium psychics on the team that can feel things out on a property. Also use a lot of equipment. I use audio recorders to capture EVP, which is speaking to ghosts, and then they'll speak back. We use EMF meters, static electricity meters, any kind of meter that basically will check the energy in a room, because ghosts affect that. And, that's one of the things they say about Ed. Perhaps he knew something that no one else knew. Maybe he got some kind of communication from either, something alien that knew perhaps something about reverse magnetism, the ability to pick up these stones. There were some children that saw him singing at one point and they saw stones levitating. Maybe that was something paranormal or something from, something extraterrestrial.
My name is Lourdes Orta. I've been doing this for the last about 17 years. The people behind me are using dowsing rods. Dowsing rods have been used historically to find ley lines in the earth or to find water sources. But paranormal investigators also use dowsing rods to find energy levels around them. Again, the energy might be of a natural source, or the energy might be of a supernatural source. Right behind me is the REM pod. and it is going off. You just saw it a moment ago. That means that there is some energy hitting it, because it only goes off if you get close to it, or if there's some heat from the body that actually sets it off. And as you can see, there is no one in there. So that's really compelling evidence that there is something going on inside this alcove.
So we went up to Ed's room. That's where he slept. That's where he lived. So we did a field test with the equipment, the ghost hunting equipment. And we actually caught a child's voice on the recorder.
Ed, are you here with us?
Yes, there's a kid there.
That's a kid. It's a kid.
Yeah. Play that up close.
That's a child. It's only a child.
I pretty much stick to a scientific type of thing. And so for me to leave with more questions and answers made an interesting day for me. And I will be back. And I would encourage anybody in the area to come here and take a look for themselves.
I encourage everybody to come out to the Coral Castle here in Homestead, Florida, and definitely check it off your bucket list. It's worth it.
My name is David Pierce Rodriguez, and I am a paranormal researcher. I run a team named Prism Paranormal Research, and we have currently 15 teams in the United States and one in Australia. I started doing this when I was a child, when I lived in a really haunted home and saw a lot of things and wanted to show people that what I was seeing was real and I wasn't, crazy.
These little red lights talk right here. We want to know that you're here with us. Can you tell me, was Agnes really your girlfriend or your fiance? I've heard that Agnes wasn't really her true name. I heard it was Hermine. She was 24, not 16.
Did you like to have children around here at Rocky Park? Let me ask you one more time.
Do you like to have children around here?
One more time. Is that kid? Is that a kid?
I heard something. There's something there.
It's right here.
It's just not that clear, but you could tell there's something there.
I heard it too. Yes, there's a kid there.
That's a kid. It's a kid.
Yeah.
That's definitely a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop screen here. There it is. Stop screen. Yeah, there we are. We're back.
Right.
Anyways, awesome video there, Rhiannon. Well done. Good job.
Thank you. I'm so glad you were able to play that. I'm so glad it's done. It took us forever to get done.
We got a comment from My Flock is Everywhere. If anyone wants to help out the amazing content on our channel, we got a Cash App, but that's not necessary. We also have super stickers and super chats. You can always do that if you want. It's not something that I push because I know everybody's struggling out there. So if you can, great. If you can't, that's fine too. We want to welcome everybody in the chat, such as Freaky Geek, Sightings on 18 Wheels, or Doug. Raul, Chico, Esmeralda are one of our top fans here at UFO Man, UFOXPO TV, and several other people. Nancy Volker was here earlier. we want to make sure that everybody knows that we do appreciate them. And this show is definitely set up for a lot of engagement. So if you have questions as we go along, please ask them by writing them in capital letters. That way I know it's a question rather than just banter. Okay. Rhiannon.
Yes, Tim.
Where should we go now? Should we go into some information in the UFO news arena?
Whew. Well, before
Or did
we
you?
do
Oh,
that,
that's right. Sorry.
before we do that, I just wanted to give everybody a brief little history of kind of behind the scenes of how the Coral Castle episode of Sky Tribe Mysteries was even done.
Right.
I was planning to find something mysterious, and I'm like, well, Florida, Miami's not really mysterious. Fort Lauderdale's not really mysterious. What am I going to do? So I did some research, and I found the Georgia Guidestones, and I'm like, this is really weird. These big, huge tablets are in the middle of nowhere, in Georgia, like of all places. So I asked Thom, I'm like, hey, do you have any interest in going with me to, as a co-host with the Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries to the Georgia Guidestones? And he's like, oh my gosh, absolutely. I've been dying to go do that. So we had everything planned, and we were on the phone for hours trying to crack the code, and we thought we had it pegged, So we were going to get out there like a week before, and then that's when the Georgia Guidestones blew up. But nobody knows who it was that blew it up. Do you remember hearing anything, Tim?
Yeah, I heard a lot about it, but they didn't pinpoint who blew it up or what the reason was. There were a couple of reasons. One, it was either people that were disagreeing with what was on the stones and wanted it obliterated, or it was people who created the stones who wanted the text hidden from public view because it was receiving so much attention.
It was just really wild how all that went down literally a week before we were able to film. And then after that happened, I'm like, wow, that's a mystery in itself now, because nobody knows who did it or why they did it. Again, it's speculation.
Right. Plus, it was about Agenda 20. And then the depopulation agenda was what was written on those Georgia Guidestones. And I really do believe that due to excess attention, it was blown up on purpose so that nobody could read it.
Or it could be somebody doing that to signal a sign like you're not going to conquer your Agenda 20.
Right. Although now
it is not going to happen. Right.
Although the powers that be have reestablished the agenda, it's no longer Agenda 20, it's Agenda 30.
Yes.
They couldn't do it by 2020, so they're trying to do it by 2030. And was it Brad last week that said now it's probably 2024 instead of 2025?
Correct. It's on warp speed. Like it fast forward and now it's like going back. Anyway, bottom line is we just couldn't go out there and do it. So I, got on the computer and I'm like, okay, what the heck can we even look at now? Like I'm so used to being in the Middle East and having, Stonehenge and a lot of these other big megaliths and ancient temples and sites to go, explore in. So I just started doing research and I found the Coral Castle and I'm like, this is really interesting. I had no idea this was in Florida, something this cool and that mysterious. And so it just blew my mind. So again, Thom's like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. Let's go out there and do it. So we did. We shot that last October on a full moon. Was it October? I'm sorry, I can't remember. We've been so many places, especially with the UFOXPO.
So went out there and we had no idea we were even going to do the ghost tour. That was the Coral Castle's annual ghost tour on a full moon.
Right.
And we
Very
just
cool.
happened to be filming at the same day that they were doing that. So literally it just got kind of integrated. And next thing you know, Thom and I are like doing the ghost tour with them. And we didn't get a lot of activity, in the beginning because it was a lot of people doing this. And they had
Right.
all the REM pods and all the equipment set up through the whole entire castle. And it was the only time really that the Coral Castle did it at night because they don't open, it's not open at night. So we just got a bonus with David Rodriguez and his paranormal team. So what you guys actually saw there was not planned at all, but it was such a cool bonus to be a part of that.
That's very cool. And the fact is, with a full moon and it being at night, your chances of getting any type of paranormal activity are increased from what I've heard from other paranormal investigators.
Oh yeah. Well, and when everybody started to leave and we had the park almost to ourselves, that's when the activity picked up for us. And as you
Right.
saw, we actually heard a child. And I guess there was a lot of children that was in that park. And I started, trying to study ley lines, and Court Lindahl, was able to contribute that ley line video. And what's interesting is that Ed was from Riga, Latvia. And Riga, Latvia has a line to the Vatican. And the Vatican has a line directly to the Coral Castle running through Ed's bedroom. Is that chance? Is this why
I doubt it. I figure he knew something. He had some type of knowledge.
Well, again, the way the story goes, if you go down there and you actually take a tour, they talk about how he studied the secrets of the pyramids from the library through library books. Okay, I'm not buying that because, if that was the case, we would already know like how to crack the code on who built the pyramids.
Right.
Just go to the library, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, nothing matched up. Thom and I, the story is beautiful. The story is nice about his long lost love that, canceled their wedding like the day before and broke up with them, left him with a, hurt heart, which, I don't doubt, but he just built this park like this, 1,100 tons of coral bedrock, and then moved it 10 miles away with just a flatbed truck that nobody saw him do it. But the one thing, Tim, that's really super cool about this, that, I've been to over 18 countries and I've been to
Right.
18 places. This is a modern megalith. Okay.
Right.
So there was a person that was recognizable for doing something like this. Nobody
Right.
supposedly saw him do it. Maybe some kids did, but are these kids around to tell the story? There's nobody else telling the story, right?
Right. So basically, it's all speculation until we get some proof or evidence on what he was using, other than that film footage that you showed us, where he was using that torque crane, where he was torquing it.
Yeah,
to get the big blocks to move and the big tripod.
Exactly.
I can see that, but some of those stones are so heavy that I doubt he could have moved it with just the tools and the tripod that he had. But then again, you never know, because there are theories now, that the Egyptians mastered the use of frequencies to elevate stone. And that could have been what he was doing with that little black box on top of that tripod.
Harmonic resonance, that little black box, I believe
it was a combination of things, because if you think about it, let's just say, okay, he did like pull up one of these huge stones, right? These huge blocks. How are you going to move it? So you pulled it up, but now what? How are you moving it? It's a wonder. And I just love the fact that it really is, it's a modern megalith, and it was a man, 100 pounds, 5 feet tall. He looked like he needed to eat several cheeseburgers. I mean, when we were inside his room, I remember seeing all this cooking equipment and pots and pans. And I'm like, he doesn't even look like he eats. Why does he have all this cooking equipment, you know? And I don't know. I mean, I feel like he had some inside knowledge from the Masons, and maybe his family was a part of the secret society, and he had inside knowledge on how to make these, you know, maybe levitation, harmonic resonance, and whatever the heck is in that black box. That is the mystery, is what was in the black box.
Nancy Volker is suggesting from the chat that it's the Anunnaki that originally settled in the area of Egypt and not the Egyptians. That maybe somehow he got a hold of that technology. Snoopson said telephone pole tripods. The higher they are, you know, the more leverage. So yeah. And by the way, UFOXPO TV or Thom Reed says, miss being there, still working in Shreveport. And
we miss you, Thom. Hurry home.
He said, thank you for the film. He enjoyed the filming with you, Rhiannon. And it was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we're still talking about it. We're still glowing about it. And we might be making another trip down there, but it's just so mysterious. And I just encourage everybody to go out there. I never even knew it existed, you know, until now. Right. But again, you know, you just keep exploring new off the beaten path places. And that's what would interest me the most, is these places that are not in your face.
I want to welcome a new person to our chat room, Craig Stephen Powell. Welcome. Also, Esmeralda made a comment. She said, sound is something I don't think we have learned enough about. So yes, singing could have been the way he elevated the stones, because I know Tibetan monks do that. So.
Yes. But you know, this is the thing, guys. It's such a secret. And I don't know why it has to be a secret.
Well, the mystery of the park, it brings people in.
Yeah, it does bring people in, but come on. If you have a good like cake recipe, don't you just want to share it with the world? but anyway, just to wrap it up, we're going to be doing I'm going to be doing another episode of Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries. That's going to come out soon, and that's Costa Rica. If anybody knows anything about the Costa Rican stone spheres, that's a big mystery too. You know, nobody can crack the code. Scientists. That was truly amazing. These stones were in the middle of like this banana plantation that we had to hike through in like 105-degree weather.
That stone's almost bigger than you.
Oh, seriously. What are you going to do with that? Go bowling with it? I mean, really, what's the purpose? Now, they claim, and I'm not going to get too far into it because you'll have to see the film, but they claim that it was for the prominent, you know, it's a statement. But yeah, I'm an important person.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Show your importance, your affluence by something like a monument. That's what they were doing.
How did they do it?
I don't know. And why did they bury them in the ground? Yeah, and why would they bury them in the ground? Because a lot of them had to be unburied. unless that was just dirt that, amassed over time. I don't know, but it seemed like a lot of them were just buried on purpose.
Like it was a secret, like they didn't want anybody to find out.
Right.
And it was highlighted in the Indiana Jones movie, and I can't remember which one, but you remember when the huge stone sphere.
Oh, that's the first one. First one.
Are you sure it was the first
Indiana Jones? I think it was Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. That might have been the second one.
I think it's the second one.
Anyways, Esmeralda says, UFOXPO TV, we miss you here. So, Thom, you are missed.
You're missed. Hurry back.
Yeah, you're definitely missed.
So what we're going to do next, and this is a project that I've been waiting to do with Thom, okay? Thom's been begging me to come out to his UFO park, and every time I think about it, it's wintertime, and I don't want to, wear a bunch of clothes and go up to Massachusetts when it's snowing. So I said, okay, we're going to do that for the anniversary of Thom's UFO incident of the Berkshires UFO. So we are going to be filming a version of Sky Tribe Ancient Mysteries in the park. Yep, there it is. And we are going to do an investigation at night in the park with our team. So my friend Pamela Thomas, she's part of our team. Maybe my other team, Tomic, might come. I think we're going to have Anthony with Unidentified S4. He's going to have his equipment, and we're all going to be out in the park at night because there's so much activity in his park. I mean, it didn't just happen in 1969. It's continually happening and getting coverage. People are having weird feelings out there. They're seeing UFOs, crop circles, the corn's growing like it's on steroids. I don't know. But I'm excited to go out there and really do an investigation and check it out. And that's going to be another episode that will feature probably.
And eventually I will make my presence known physically at one of the conferences. So you can meet me there if you get a chance to come out.
How about Contact in the Desert? That's where you started, right?
Yeah, Contact in the Desert, but I'm more interested in UFOXPO. So there you go. UFOXPO is the place to be no matter where it's located. So check out the upcoming UFO expos when we post the information here and in our groups. You will find the information and on Facebook in the main feed. So okay, we're gonna change gears here, and we're gonna go into some UFO news. There's something I want to address. I want to go back to the Las Vegas UFO or alien encounter in that family's yard. I have the original footage of the family and young Angel talking about what he saw, and a zoomed in image showing what he actually saw by the front end motor. So let's take a look at that. Here we go.
Hora me que cantis París le gallenge a la chorsi, hora. Tosi. ¡Ay! ¡Permisar! Calmungarela me cansiles variso. Kailo, cherro que chili. Kailo, cherro. Kailo. Uy, chetan. Chili cow.
Agladel, varón.
Chili cow.
Varón cayó, si le unía caca bare Agladel.
Kai, cherro.
Adelo, diles.
Permisar, le sale.
Escucharé que te camiona, Agladelo.
Kai, permisar, te sale.
Agladel te
jugó. Permisar, porque no, cherro, que calmungarela me.
Diles, estos no son los míos, estoy viendo para acá.
Kai.
Ande el camión, los conchadicas del camión. El segundo, de de para acá, de cables.
Kai, cherro, chidi caban la del.
Agladel, concha, cortelo, chistilo. Alalo, que te acordó. O sea, picucharico, y adolo.
Chidi caban la del.
Concha, me di cables completico.
Oye, de cables.
Kai. Cortelo, de que acá, dile que acá, callale, hay muy pelón, varón pelón.
Ya, cherro.
En Chalo, te adó, dijeron de Concha, que la de que chupaba.
Moments after the video, me and my brother went to go pick up my tools. Then my brother calls me, and he told me shakingly, "Look behind the forklift." So I look. Keep in mind I'm facing the forklift, and then I see the alien creature. So when I saw it, it was a tall, skinny, lengthy creature. He was a gray, greenish color, and when I looked at it in the eyes, my body just froze. Like the same experience as having sleep paralysis. Keep in mind I'm staring at him, and I look at his whole body, and he has a weird looking feet and a big face and eyes, and you can see a big mouth.
Okay, in regards to that video, a lot of people say it wasn't real, but according to the police officers and the Metro Police, they didn't doubt what the family saw. So if you want to see, there's a current news clip out right now on News Nation about what the Metro Police were doing, how they were covering up the footage in the original clip by blacking it out. 16 minutes of redacted information. Whereas in this clip, this is not redacted. It's showing what the kids saw. He described 2 black eyes and a large mouth, and you saw that on that clip. So judge for yourself. That's all I can say. One person who is definitely interested in or actually thinks that aliens are here is Gary Nolan. He's a scientist from Harvard, and I think it's Harvard. It might be Stanford. But he is one of the Ivy League university scientists, and he's one of the smartest men in America. And he says this.
Do you believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time, and it's still here. And it has basically, people talk about the wow signal, looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. The wow signal is that people see it on an almost regular basis. That's the communication that's already here.
If you had to assign a probability to that statement, that you believe extraterrestrial intelligence has visited this planet, what probability would you assign?
100%.
What do you think about that, Rhiannon?
Well, I don't think he would go on record like that, just making those type of claims. There's a lot of very important people now that have high credentials. They're just highly credited, and they're speaking out about these things. They don't want to put their reputation on the line if it wasn't true. Think about it. No matter how much money is thrown in their face, if anything, people, the government, whoever's trying to keep it down, trying to keep it under wraps, but it's leaking out. And I'm just starting to really believe that this is all really true.
We want to say hello to George RB3. Welcome to the chat room. Good to see you. We're talking about the validity of alien life and some people that have come out. We just played a clip on Gary Nolan, who came out and said that he believes they're not only visiting, but they're already here and have been for eons. And in the ancient civilization ruins and things that Rhiannon has been privy to visit, I'm sure there is indications of alien visitation. Wouldn't you say so, Rhiannon?
Yeah, and that's what kind of got me into all this, because I started out 10 years ago as an explorer, just out of pure National Geographic interest of seeing all these wonders of the world. And as I started going all over the place, different corners of the earth that wasn't relevant, that these people had no They didn't talk to each other. They didn't have Wi-Fi. They didn't have internet, but they all had similar characteristics. And it started to make me think like, wow, there's a big connection here. How is that? And so I just started digging deeper and deeper. And yeah, I believe it. Where are they at? Show yourself.
Esmeralda says Dr. Nolan does have a lot to lose.
Yes.
And Sightings on 18 Wheels said, indeed, Esmeralda. So, yes, we all agree on that point. But he says that his reputation is not hampered by him coming out and speaking out on UFO topic because his reputation is already established as a credible source. So he doesn't feel like he's having any issues in regards to that. So that's a good thing. Now, we do have a couple more clips I want to play. James Fox confirms that we have 4K images of UFOs out there that were not being shown. I know that a lot of us have always thought that we must have that footage, but have we actually heard it from the horse's mouth? What do you think, Rhiannon? Do you think James Fox coming out and saying this is legitimate or substantial?
Oh, no, I believe, and I think it is substantial. And, you know, this is kind of like a herd mentality. This whole UFO community is kind of engulfing and debunking a lot of stuff. It's grown and it's big, and we are just taking control of it to get the story straight, to get it out there.
Right.
So absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree with you 100%. We're trying to get the story out there. So here it is, James Fox.
That's exactly right. So, you know, I just talked to Christopher Mellon, who's also got clearances, who's seen the satellite data, photographic evidence. And he said, well, I'm only talking about it because Ratcliffe talked about it. But I'll tell you right now, it's amazing. And I said, Christopher, please, because I'm friends with Christopher. Can you give me a little more? He's like, well, if you imagine like full 4K of craft, it's about as good as that. And it's just behind that level of secrecy. So it's only a matter of time where some of that stuff's coming out. I'm very confident. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, that's the problem. We all want it now, but it's a matter of when.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. And the fact that we actually know that it does exist because it has James Fox is pretty credible. So I would take his word at it. And the fact that he spoke to Christopher Mellon, who is really in the know, that is substantial. I wanted to say that I think it was a couple weeks ago that NASA came out with their hearing of sorts where they claimed nothing to see here in the last so forth amount of time that we've had to receive data. We haven't found anything of significance, is what NASA stated. But I have to say that NASA is hiding stuff.
Well, come on. I mean, they have their own art department. Their job was to take the footage of everything that they seen before they actually published it to, you know, the media, is to, you know, do a little artwork. And
do a little blurring out. Yeah, smudging it. Yep. I have a couple clips, though, that will help you determine for yourself if you think that NASA's hiding something. Here is Brigadier James McDivitt.
During my flight on Gemini 4 in 1965, I saw an object in space fairly close to our spacecraft that I could not identify. It looked to me like maybe the upper stage of another rocket. I tried to take some pictures of it, but unfortunately the pictures did not come out properly. We never were able to identify what it was, and all of our ground radar tracking data indicated that there shouldn't have been another object anywhere near us at the time.
Now Brigadier General Jim McDivitt not only was a former astronaut, he also claims to have seen an unidentified flying object. First, welcome here. When was that, General?
It was during the flight of Gemini 4, Mario, in June of 1965.
Could you describe this UFO for us?
Yes, it was a white object. If it had been about that high, it would have been about that big around and had a long white tube sticking out of it.
Any idea what it was?
I tried to take some pictures, but because of the way the camera was set and the way the light was shining on the windshield, we never really got anything back except a couple beautiful sunspots on the window, nothing else. I think it would be very naive and really super egotistical on our part to believe that we're the only form of life in all this vast, vast universe in which we live.
Agreed. What do you think, Rhiannon?
Agreed. What does everybody else think?
Yeah. What does everybody else think in the chat room? Do you think that we are not alone? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Come on, guys. I know you can put a 1 out there. Oh, yeah, Doug, the space train. Yep. One of these days, we're going to have to address that. David Martin says 1. Snoopyson 100 says 1. Esmeralda says 1. So everybody's saying, yeah, the universe is teeming with life, Facebook user says. Raul says, creation is all over the universe. You are correct, sir. That is the case. Lisa Savoy says 1. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for responding. Nancy Volker says 1. Human Data says 2. So you don't believe they exist then? Human Data. You got to have an up-close sighting like I did, and it'll change your world paradigm. And I personally believe what I saw was not human-made. But then again, that's just my opinion. Facebook user says we have never been alone. And I agree with that. Because we spoke to a gentleman last week named Brad Olson who said something along the lines of, why are we always focusing on the sky when perhaps they're below our feet? And that's very interesting because they could also be below the oceans like everybody thinks.
Well, look at that movie, The Abyss. You know,
The
I
Abyss,
tried to rent that movie the other night just to kind of rehash and just take a closer look at the movie.
Yeah.
And you can't rent it. It's weird. Like it's just go to Amazon Prime and you just can't get it. Anyway.
I own it. I have it. So I can probably send it to you.
Like a real DVD. Like I don't have
like a Blu-ray.
Oh, Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So interesting. Look at that video, guys, that movie again. I don't know. I'm fascinated with what could be in the deep depths of the ocean, especially the trenches.
Yeah, that'd be cool in the Mariana Trench. Yes. Hey, Facebook user Christy Martindale, Wixon Martindale, I know you.
Hey, Christy.
When you get a chance, when you get your shirt in the mail, do me a favor, take a selfie so I can post it on the group. I'm pretty sure Christy purchased a UFO Man logo shirt. So if she did, please post it. Send it to me. I'll drop my email underneath the live stream, and you can send it there, and I will post it in the group. Okay. Nice seeing Christy. All right, we got another clip here that's very interesting because, you know, people always said, if the moon landing is true, right, why didn't we go back? Well, this might be one of the reasons.
While Neil and Buzz were on the lunar surface, Neil switched to the medical channel and spoke directly with the chief medical officer, saying, they're here, they're parked on the side of the crater, they're watching us.
They're watching us.
Okay, but hey, perhaps they that were watching them told them to never come back.
Right. Supposedly William Tompkins made a statement that the large ships that were on the side of the crater, the Sea of Tranquility crater, were reptilian craft, and they were warned off the moon. I'm having trouble with my scroller. Okay. What's going on?
I hear your mouse.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my mouse. I can't get it to go off of the up and down arrows. I'm trying to. I can't even take the comment down. I'm trying to, but I can't. Okay, so I can't even switch. What's going on here?
It's having some issues tonight.
I'm having some issues with my scroller. Yep. And I don't want to make a ton of noise with my mouse, so I apologize for that. Let me see if I got it switched. Oh, yeah, I got it switched now. Thank goodness. All righty. All right, I do have another clip that I would like to add to that NASA narrative. And it's the last one, and I find it's really quick, but it's interesting. Here you go. It's from 1989.
In March 1989, the crew of the Space Shuttle Discovery may have discovered something unexpected. A ham radio operator claims to have picked up the voice of Discovery pilot Colonel John Blaha speaking on a secret NASA channel.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under observance.
That's good.
Isn't that crazy? I'm going to play it one more time.
In March 1989, the crew of the Space Shuttle Discovery may have discovered something unexpected. A ham radio operator claims to have picked up the voice of Discovery pilot Colonel John Blaha speaking on a secret NASA channel.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under observance.
So if you believe that NASA doesn't know anything, then you're living behind a rock, because personally, I think NASA knows more than they're saying. And it's up to you to decide for yourself. But I do believe that NASA knows more than it's telling us, just like the U.S. government is not telling us everything. And I will reveal that in a second. One thing I want to do is, Rhiannon, were you privy to the news release recently of on Fox News or any other channel in regards to the U.S. military being in possession of 12 saucers?
Yes, I did see that, and I don't doubt it at all.
Should we play the news clip?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
And now the floodgates are open. Credible sources, including former high-ranking intel officials, have corroborated to our next guest that the U.S. military is in possession of at least a dozen alien spaceships. A dozen. And reportedly, both our government and private aerospace companies are trying to reverse engineer the ships. One source even said, we're trying to fly these ships. Let's bring in Michael Schellenberger, the founder of Public on Substack. So what are these sources telling you? We got 12 ships. What do these suckers look like, Mike?
Good to be with you, Jesse. Yeah, I mean, the descriptions range from the classic disc shape to the triangular shape. Another person described one of the ships as sort of a modified Huey helicopter or deep sea submarine. These are all people that are sane, highly intelligent, in positions to know, and also cleared at very high levels of security clearance. They were very anxious in speaking with me. I protected their identities, didn't even reveal their genders or the institutions that they work for, but they all felt compelled to speak out in response to this whistleblower who you just quoted, who made those extraordinary claims, and they verified the core claims that indeed the U.S. government does have non-human spacecraft.
And what exactly is the U.S. government doing with this spacecraft?
They say that, and it sounds crazy, but it is what they say, that the U.S. government has been working to reverse engineer these technologies for many decades, and that the high levels of security has made that very difficult. One person described an effort to involve a broader set of scientists and engineers to cut through the stovepipes in this person's language, and that proposal was rejected. It was made through a major aerospace corporation. The claims are that these are real objects and that they exist at military bases and with military contractors.
Have any of your sources described seeing any extraterrestrials?
Yes, one of them did, but I kept it out of the story because for a variety of reasons, I wanted to make sure that we were able to focus on verifying, including with some of the same sources that David Grush also heard from, just to verify that there is a very large number of people that are in positions to know who say that there are indeed non-human craft. And at this point, I'm not really comfortable talking about some of the other details that I was told.
Okay.
I gotta say something about that, Rhiannon. That's not new news because what was it, a year ago, the Wilson documents came out. And the Wilson documents talked about an alleged retrieval crash program and a re-engineering project. And that was released in the Wilson documents. That was a year ago. I don't know if you knew about that. Did you? Were you aware
No,
of
but
that?
I mean, we've been hearing about this for a long time on the behind the scenes through
Right.
alternative media and whistleblowers.
Right,
So
exactly.
this is not new to many of us who have been researching this information. It's just more like
Right.
confirmation.
Yeah, it's
Public.
confirmation. Yeah. The Cash Landrum craft that was diamond shaped, the black diamond, that was said to have been one of the captured craft because it was said to be the time when Vicki Landrum and the other lady, I can't remember her first name, Cash and Landrum came in contact with that diamond UFO. It was being ushered to the ground by multiple helicopters because its micronuclear reactor that was placed inside the craft to try to power it up had issues and was raining down radiation to the ground. So it overloaded and it didn't work anymore. So the ship was coming down. So the helicopters were bringing it to the ground, and Cash and Landrum happened on that event and got sprayed with the radiation and eventually died from their wounds from that. But so they are trying to pilot these things, but using conventional technology. And the thing about it is like you said, Rhiannon, and I'm corroborating your statement, that a lot of people have been talking about this behind the scenes through alternative sources for years, if not decades. And one of those people, and one of those people is John Lear, the son of the Lear jet inventor, who is now passed on. Rest in peace, John Lear.
He was amazing.
He was amazing, yes. He has a comment for you all to listen to. Check this out. In 1987, we knew back then that we had retrieved saucers. Here it is.
George, basically what we're dealing with here is, I'll give you the bottom line.
Okay,
I'm not trying to sell it.
I want to hear your thesis.
I'm
your
not trying to
central
sell a
point.
book. I'm not trying to promote a lecture. This is based on what I've come across after intense research in the last year. And I have found out that the government has retrieved between 10 and 15 actual flying saucers, 3 of which have been in perfect condition, 1 of which they tried to fly. They have between 30 and 50 alien bodies in cryogenic storage. We even have the name of the person whose job it is to show these bodies to the heads of state and the people who are authorized to see them. They represent at least 5 different civilizations.
I can't imagine a Dan Rather or a Tom Brokaw, if that were to come to their attention, a story of that magnitude, that they wouldn't do something with it.
Well, I can't answer that question. I don't know why they don't do it. There certainly is enough evidence based on what I've looked at. For instance, the Linda Moulton Howe documentary in Denver for the CBS affiliate there called A Strange Harvest. since 1975 to 1980, when she made the documentary, there's at least 9,000 cattle mutilations. Now, the government said that the mutilations were normal. Your desert predator did these, but they weren't. The mutilations,
I think we have a picture of these somewhere. Maybe we can see that as you're talking.
Well,
that's
that's
the next picture. There we are.
This is the mutilation. New Mexico State Police did the research on, or the investigation on it, and they cut out certain parts with and the cut was made with a laser beam far sharper than anything we have. As a matter of fact, they were able to determine that they cut between the cells and didn't cut the cells themselves. We presently don't have this kind of technology.
Well, if we don't know that we have this kind of technology, or you and I don't know that we don't, but that doesn't prove necessarily that it's ET.
No, except that there's usually a visual sighting of a flying saucer or a light, a strange light, at each one of these sightings.
Okay, you mentioned the saucers and the bodies. Now, what kind of proof do you have that is true? How do you know that?
Well, let me take a look. Let me read to you first what the Air Force says about the bodies. First of all, I'm going to read from the Introductory Space Science, Volume 2, Department of Physics, United States Air Force. This is Chapter 13, Unidentified Flying Objects. Now, this is what the Air Force has the students at the Air Force Academy read. And it says, the most commonly described alien is about 3.5 feet tall, has a round head, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a silvery spacesuit or coveralls. Other aliens appear to be essentially the same as Earthmen, while still others have particularly wide wrap-around eyes and mouths with very thin lips. And there is a rare group reported to be about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair for clothing. Members of this last group are described as being extremely strong. Now, I'm not making this up. This is an Air Force. You can pick out an Air Force physics book and read this stuff. And at the end of the chapter, they go on to say, this leads us to believe in the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs. Now, the picture that we have of the big head that the Air Force describes, this picture was drawn by an Army surgeon. These are one of the bodies that was recovered in the famous Roswell incident of 1947.
Tell us about that.
It was the first flying saucer that crashed and was recovered by the Army. It was covered up. There has been several books about it. They recovered 4 beings, and one of the surgeons that was responsible for the autopsy drew that picture and came up with some of these interesting things in the autopsy. I'll just read a couple. 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall, 2 round eyes without pupils, no earlobes, nose is vague, neck described as being thin, arms is described long and thin, reaching down to the knee section. You can see that there's a webbed portion in the hands, no teeth, no apparent reproductive organs, brain capacity unknown, colorless liquid prevalent in the body without red cells, no lymphocytes. And there's more in that particular report.
This is an autopsy report. Now, you said the government goes to great lengths, the Air Force in particular, to discredit this kind of stuff. Where did this come from? How did you get this?
That came in a private, that came from the private collection of Leonard Stringfield, who was one of the premier researchers. He worked for the Air Force in the early 50s in a secret project reporting UFOs. Then as a civilian, he continued his private research, and this is out of his collection.
Why does the government want to hide this? Why doesn't the Air Force just come forward? Why doesn't, why don't they level with us if this is all true?
Well, there's not really much they could say based on what I've been able to find out. George, they're really, what could they say about it? They've been researching it for many, many years, and based on my information, let's say that the president decided to make an announcement. This is, if he made it today, this is what I think that he would say. My fellow Americans, I come to you before you tonight with an announcement of great importance. Despite all our denials, flying saucers do in fact exist. Where they come from, we do not know. Who is in them, we do not know. Where they are from, we do not know, nor do we know how they got here or what they want. We are unable to duplicate any of the metals found on the several craft we have recovered, nor are we able to figure out how they are propelled. We have hidden these facts from you over the past 40 years in hopes that we could give you more answers. Unfortunately, we are no closer to answers today than we were 40 years ago. God bless you all.
In other words, you find it highly unlikely that the president would ever make a statement, anything like that?
No, it's just, it's too big. The problem is not only just the fact that there are five and as many as 10 different civilizations visiting us. Apparently, and this is from the research that I've done, at least 90% of them are hostile. And when I say hostile, if not hostile, they have a completely different set of morals than we do.
Yeah, so we knew in '87 that we had 10 to 15 craft, but now in 2023 they're only reporting 12. So are the 3 that they were trying to fly that were intact? Are they the 3 that are missing? I don't know. It's just a thought I had. What do you think, Rhiannon?
I think there is still so much that we do not know. And who knows if we will ever find out the correct number. You know, we can only speculate. And of course, you know, there's the discussion that, you know, reverse engineering and that the government has these crafts and they're flying around too. How do we know who's who? It's like the Wild West.
I got to, Esmeralda said, or Thom said, Esmeralda, I do know Hynek's son. Maybe we can get him on. We've actually had him on the channel when we didn't have Rhiannon and Thom Reed on the channel. But now if we get Paul Hynek on here, who I also know, we could have a totally different interview from a different aspect. Also, Thom said, Tim and Rhiannon, a nice mix of information tonight. Thanks, Thom. Really appreciate it. And Human Data said, what the real black company government has is like a really nasty peanut butter sandwich from 1940. Well, that's probably true. Raul said, great vid. Thank you, Raul. Snoopyson is still believing in the biblical definition of the creation of humanity, and that's fine. You're entitled to believe that. Some of the biblical creationist theories do apply to UFO and alien encounters, though. Angels actually represent the depictions of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki had wings. So there you go. That's angels. So there's a lot of cool things. Yeah, we need to interview Jacques Vallée. I'd like to get him on. He's hard to get a hold of, but I have been working on him.
It would be nice to connect the dots, and I think that's happening right now. Is they're taking researchers are going into the biblical text and Sumerian tablets and all that jazz, and they're starting to connect the dots and look at similarities because things were, portrayed in a different way. So, but they could mean the same, just in a different perspective. It's in the eye of the beholder, correct?
Right, it's in the eye of the beholder, exactly. And Gorilla Gamer says, great show, guys. Thanks, Gigi, I really appreciate it. Human Data says there are an infinite amount of layers to a big onion. I agree.
And it's really fun to peel that onion.
Yes, right. And that's what we're trying to do tonight, just a little bit. So I do have a couple more things I want to point out. What was it, a week ago or maybe a week and a half ago, Arrow, which is the Aerial Anomalous Research Organization, another acronym for UAP Task Force, came out with a couple statements that really annoyed me, and I want to point them out. Here's one right here.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, Arrow has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics.
Did you see that? He wanted to get through that as fast as he could.
Yep. He seemed really pressed to get it out. And check this out.
I want to underscore today that only a very small percentage of UAP reports display signatures that could reasonably be described as anomalous. The majority of unidentified objects reported to AARO demonstrate mundane characteristics of balloons, unmanned aerial systems, clutter, natural phenomena, or other readily explainable sources.
Just a figment of your imagination.
They're trying to make it seem like it's a figment of our imagination. That's why I put that on there. He's just stating what Project Signs said. Nothing. It's like it's being covered up. What do you think, Rhiannon?
No, I think you're right. It's just being covered up.
I know that Grush guy, David Grush, when he came out about the re-engineering programs and the retrieval programs, he did not go to AARO. He went straight to Congress. And here's the clip that I want you to see concerning that.
Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, as the head of AARO, do you think Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick is the right man for the job?
Look, sadly, no. I think he's displayed apprehended bias in the way he conducts himself. I don't think, on the basis of what I know, he's been as candid as he should be with the Congress about what I know he's been briefed. Even David Grush has admitted to me that he circumvented going to AARO because he didn't trust AARO. He didn't trust Sean Kirkpatrick. He went directly to the Congress and the Inspector General. And the reason he did that was because he did not have faith that his allegations would be properly investigated. We've got a situation now where the legislation mandates that AARO should be being administered and answerable to the Secretary of Defence. Instead, it's being kept within the office of the Undersecretary of Defence Intelligence and Security, which is the very agency inside the Pentagon that Lou Elizondo and others are telling me is responsible for part of the cover-up. So why? And moreover, at what point does this twig the curiosity of lazy national security reporters who don't recognize yet that it's a story?
Exactly.
Okay, well, here's one for you. Former Israeli space chief says aliens exist and Trump knows. I was living in Israel at the time when this broke out. This was 2020. And he was a highly decorated professor of aeronautics for the Israeli Space Force, I guess. And he came out of nowhere. This is a retired professor. He was so looked up to, and he still is to this day. And he broke the news that there is a galactic federation, guys. And if you don't believe me, go to it. He said, former Israeli general, aliens exist and Earth is not ready to deal with it. Supposedly, Trump was going to expose it, but the ET said, no, humans are not ready for it. But somehow Haim decided to come out and say it mainstream everywhere. Google it.
Yep. I actually saw that. I think I do have a post on the UFO Man channel showing that news clip. So just check back in some of my older footage and you may find it, or perhaps in the next show I'll bring it up. But yes, that actually happened. It was the Galactic Federation of Worlds that supposedly informed this Israeli scientist to tell those in power not to release the information to the American public and the rest of the world because they felt that we weren't ready. But I have to disagree with that. I think we have been conditioned over the decades, and I think a lot of us are ready. Perhaps some people aren't, but the majority is. What do you think, Rhiannon?
Well, The majority was okay, but now that everything has come out on mainstream, like David Grush, and now this the aliens in the backyard, and it seems like every week there's something happening, and people are posting pictures and video on their cell phones of UFOs. How can you deny this? And so I think now more people are awake to the fact that this really is real. And I think now's the time. Bring it on.
Yeah, Snoopy Sin 100 says, seems like lying is a prerequisite for government work.
Of course.
And Human Data said a little while ago, oh my God, so all my videos are my imagination. I have been lying to myself, according to the Arrow organization. No, you have not been lying to yourself, but they want to rule you out. And the historical data going back 70 years, which in my opinion is a farce. And that's my opinion, not Rhiannon's necessarily, but mine.
Well, and look at the experiencers, okay? Look at all the experiencers out there in the world who are under hypnosis. They think they're going crazy. They have things that happen to them, and, they're searching for help. And when Thom and I are doing these UFO expos, we get experiencers come up to us and share their stories. And some of the stuff you just can't make up. Like, there's just too many people in numbers that are just talking about the same thing, the same similar situations all over the world. It's not just in the US, it's a global thing.
Right. And I have to say this, ever since they came out with all this information, it seems like a lot of people online within the UFO community or coming into the UFO community have become jaded. Like it's almost commonplace. So when it becomes commonplace, then people start not watching the information anymore. And when they don't watch it, they're not updated. And in effect, it's another way of suppressing the information. If they get you to where you're so inundated with information that you get overwhelmed and then you no longer watch, they're burying the subject. Just my opinion. I want to reiterate that there is a new segment of Sky Tribe Mysteries coming out concerning the Costa Rica stone spheres, starring Rhiannon and others. So when it comes out, we will definitely, hopefully,
premiere it here
on this channel. And Thom Reed should be back, and hopefully we can have him in full health. He's not feeling good tonight. So please send him your prayers and wish him the best, because we want him to be healthy and happy and back on the channel.
Yes, and we need to get all the scoop from Roswell, from Thom.
We need all the scoop from Roswell, what type of trouble he got into, if any, and stuff like that.
We'll have to leave that part out.
Yeah, we were going to leave that part out, but no, I have to mention it because of Thom. That's just the way it is. So there you go, Thom. Anyways, we want to thank everybody who watched online tonight. We want to thank everybody in the chat room. Thanks for all your comments and your engagement with us tonight. That was the whole point. And we're going to do more shows like this because I think it's necessary to get the news out and get everybody's opinion and get the conversation going, because that's how we're going to bring about transparency and true disclosure. What do you think, Rhiannon?
Let's do it. Now's the time. I'm telling you, breaking news every week, and we're just going to keep talking about it and bringing more interesting guests on there.
Yes. I think next week we have a gentleman along with his other half introducing something called human design. So you may want to come and check that out, because it's going to be very interesting. It's very in-depth and technical, but it's very interesting, and it does have something to do with alien life.
Well, supposedly it's suppressed. It's like alien technology.
Right. and it's supposedly information that is gathered by your DNA through the genome in your brain. It's like you're collecting data as you live. But we're going to hear from the person who's really working with this research. His name is Daniel, and we'll be listening to him next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, so I hope you can be there. This is someone that Rhiannon and Thom both met at, where was that, UFOXPO in Spruce Pine?
Oh, yeah. I actually was introduced to Dan by somebody else before we even went out to Roswell. And he helped me with the Coral Castle. He actually did, and I didn't have time to put it in the Coral Castle video, but he actually did his human design on Ed Leeds-Skownon. And he blew me away with his information. So then he helped Thom, did something with him. And then he came out there with his human design and his partner Jennifer out to Roswell to support the UFOXPO. They were one of our vendors. And it's kind of a new concept. It's not a new concept, but it is. And people just really digged it. I mean, they had lots of, it's not readings. It's not like tarot card readings, but stay tuned. You guys are going to see it next Wednesday.
Yes, I'm actually going to record a chart reading of myself with him tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. my time.
Ooh.
So you'll actually see a live chart reading of one of the hosts of UFO Man UFOXPO TV Live. So there you go. One of these days we'll get Rhiannon on there live too.
I don't know about that. I'm joking.
Okay. Well, anyways, any last comments there, Rhiannon?
No, I think it was a good show. We lasted almost an hour and a half. You guys got a preview of a movie. Hope you busted out some popcorn for that. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, we will. And like I said, 9 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday. Hopefully Thom is feeling up to being here, and we're going to have human design on. So we'll see you then, and have a great rest of your evening. Good night.